Okay, here we go. So I covered a little bit of picks and bans, so we're gonna go ahead and get into the game. Now this is RMU Gold on blue side, and it's RMU Maroon on purple side, which, awesome, they're on purple side. Let me go ahead and make sure everyone's where they need to be. Yes, okay, perfect. So we already kind of talked about kind of the win conditions of either team and what either team really wants to do with their team fight. So I'm just going to let it go and just make commentary on the things that I see. First and foremost, though, things that I do want to talk about are the natures of the level 1. So looking across, like, which level 1 is stronger, and that's actually a little bit difficult. Jace has an amazing level 1, just because he has 2 abilities that he brings to level 1, so you have to think Jace has his Shock Blast, because he's going to take his Q. He Shock Blasts you, maybe gets an auto attack because he's ranged, then he's immediately going to press to Hammer Form, and then he's going to Hammer Form onto you and get the extra added damage from the passive on that ability, so his level 1 is actually pretty devastating as far as dueling techniques, so he's really good. Kha'Zix is going to have the isolation damage, not the best level 1, but I mean, as far as just like straight damage, it's pretty comparable. Lissandra has range, level 1's not super amazing. The fact that she does have an AoE ability, so if you guys were all standing in a bush and they all walked in, Lissandra Q'd, she would hit pretty much everyone. It's not going to be like massive damage or anything like that, but the fact that it is AoE is pretty nice. Karma's level 1 is pretty amazing. Karma can walk into lanes and pretty much win lanes bottom if she just hits her Q with like a mantra proc, although that's how she used to work. I'm assuming that's how she still works. I don't know yet. I'd have to see. But Elements used to say that Karma walks in with like a souped up Q, hits the enemy dual lane, like it's pretty much over because you lose a quarter of your health. Jinx is fine early game. Not spectacular. Not terrible. She has like an AoE ability and a long range ability because typically she's going to take her Q. So across the board, Maroon has like a really strong level 1 poke team. Victor has already taken his siphon power. I mean, if he took like a death ray, that would hurt, or even worse, like a gravitational field, but he's going top lane. But I mean, he could have a good level 1. Nami, if she takes her bubble, like if you ever get bubbled, or Janna nadoed, which typically they wouldn't take into the lane phase, like Janna's going to take her E, and Nami's typically going to take the W for like the poke exchange. But if they did, which is why you don't scale your abilities this early into the game, so the fact that Nami already has wave tells me that they're not planning to invade. Because, or set up for like a counter invade, because if you're a Janna or a Nami and you see the enemy team invading, you just scale up your CC, bam, if you bubble 5 people, that is over. It is done. You have just lost, possibly the game at that point. So Nami can have a really strong level 1. Corki, kind of like Jinx, it's meh. Phosphorus Bomb, AoE, does good damage early game. Jarvan has his flag, not really going to help him there, but he does have his passive, which allows him to do more damage to like different targets that he hits, so that's a little bit helpful, but I don't think he's as strong as Kha'Zix, just basing like the isolation damage. And Zed's like pretty much nothing. He does great damage early game, so there's that, but I mean, both teams are kind of good level 1. I'm still going to give it to Maroon. I think that they have a better level 1 just because they have more range and poke. So first of all, it's identifying how strong is our level 1. If our level 1 is strong, then you identify, okay, are we going to do a 4-point? And what I mean by a 4-point is, when you set up on the 4 different points of the map, the entrances. So one person would be here, 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 and one person would be here. So the 4 different openings into the jungle to make sure you don't get invaded. Typically, the reason why someone stands here is because if you stand far enough mid, or you even place like a ward right here, which is why it's so important to get wards here in the mid game, you can see every single thing that the enemy team is thinking over here. You can see if they start to go for an invade this way, you can see if they're walking around this way, or if they're looking for an invade this way. It's just like really helpful, which is why someone stands there. So typically it's mid laner, jungler, AD carry, and support. And obviously, like, the jungler stands here and the mid laner stands here, because everyone's going to shift over. So there's no reason in having 2 people down here. Okay, so, let's see what happens. I'm going to just put this on directed camera, just for a little bit. Okay, so no one's, it looks like they may be going for a 4-point. Likewise. this side looks like they may be invading, but they don't have their CC or their 80 carry, which is their only range damage, so there's no reason for them to be here. Okay, so Karma got some early poke, warded over the wall, hit the bush, good job. Zed's in that pit, for some reason. So this is kind of like a bastardized 4-point. Okay, I want to talk about this. So Queen Bryden, with, like, knowing that he's facing a Jace top, walked up. Obviously they found each other and they traded back some damage. Victor should be much more hurt than Jace. And Jace is in he's in cannon form, he's not even in hammer form, so I don't know. He walked up and he placed the ward. So tell me, like, what is the difference between what he did and what Razor did? Like, Razor, of course, like, used the wall and went through and warded, found that Nami was also warding, and poked over the side of the wall. Perfect. Couldn't have done that better. That's exactly what you want to do. It's safe. You get some poke down. Why didn't Bryden go in and ward from this side? Especially, like, knowing it's a Jace. Like, if I walk into a Jace early levels, there's nothing to stop him from, like, pounding my face in. And the fact that Sorrow didn't pound his face in harder is kind of questionable. Because I have to imagine that he was standing in this bush, because this is his side of the map. So he watched Victor walk up to him, which you could be, like, then auto-attacking, shock blasting, turning into hammer form. That's easily, like, half-healthing someone. And then if, like, Lissandra ever got eyes, which they have a ward right here, so she sees Zed, ever got eyes, like, depending on how far he could chase him down to, like, force him out even farther, so, like, little things like this, and a level 1, if it wasn't set up like this, if these people weren't here, Bryden could have easily lost his life for just, like, placing a ward this direction, as opposed to this direction. The fact that Jervin's still here kind of tells me that he's starting blue. Why is he starting blue? Okay. Is he starting blue? No, he's walking to his red. I'm not going to yell at him yet. He did ward his blue, though. He warded his blue even though they had eyes on Kha'Zix and Karma on the bottom side of the map. It's interesting. I think that's a waste of a trinket. Okay, so we're starting red. Both junglers are starting red. Why do you start red? Because where's your kill potential? Corki and Nami are going to find a power spike. They have a strong level 1, but their big power spike comes in and extended engagements due to the sustained nature of Karma's kit, as well as the fact that Corki finds his power spike at level 6. Jinx and Karma are a poke-based lane, like, they don't have any all-in kill potential. I mean, they could kill someone, but, like, not that all-in gank potential until, again, level 6, like, you have the Jinx execute rocket. So your kill potential is up here, especially early, because you can't gank top lane, like, past 10 minutes, because it's pretty much a free dragon. I don't know what Boom Boom's doing. Or why, I guess I should say why Shockwave let him get that close. He should have auto-attacked him one more time. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Zed has like night. Lissandra has like let's just watch that again. That was kind of interesting. Oh. Okay. It's gonna bug out. Okay. So we're gonna talk about the nature of the Lissandra versus Zed lane matchup real quick. Lissandra pretty much has everything in her kit to beat Zed. You have to think, Zed's ultimate, the death mark, when he goes all in on someone, countered by Zhonya's. Lissandra has a built-in freaking Zhonya's in her kit. She's also ranged. She has the ability to push waves. So like Zed, typically he's pretty good at pushing because he puts Shadow there and kind of force the wave back and press W and kind of AoE the creeps down. Lissandra also gets to do that. Not quite as effectively early, but still gets to do that. Has the Zhonya's, like, everything is pretty much picture perfect to beat Zed, and then she's also ranged on top of that. Anytime you have a range versus melee matchup, the range champion always wins. Always! Like, they just always win. I mean, there are a few exceptional cases, like Yasuo versus Ziggs, but it's kind of like the nature that Ziggs is like a skill shot based champion with low mobility, and Yasuo has incredibly high mobility to A, dodge the skill shots, and B, kind of get in his face, which Zed does have really high mobility. Like, he can always shadow to Lissandra, but it's Lissandra's job that while he doesn't use his W cooldown, or if he ever misuses it, to punish him with long-range auto attacks, especially because she can farm the creeps and attack him and harass him at the same time. So Lissandra should never let Zed get close to her, and then at level 2, she also has her little frozen field of like psh, that goes out around her in an AoE, so if Zed does jump onto her, immediately it's the frozen field into like more auto attacks. If he does jump on her again, he pretty much has to all-in her, because as he's walking away from her, she should be able to auto attack and win the trade just because she's ranged. We're gonna see what happens here. Okay, they're just farming the creeps. He should like be poking the shit out of him. Just using his Q, just poking that shit down. Okay, here we go, we got one. We're good. Auto attack him, auto attack him, auto attack him, auto attack. Oh my god. Okay. This is just like a mechanical issue. Like, could have auto attacked the entire time, and the fact that he then lets him walk up. Like, Zed just gets to walk across the lane to Lissandra without any response. Like, you could have at least had 2 auto attacks in there, which would have put his health to, like, here, and then get Q'd, and then you would pretty much ignite him at that point and just, like, chase him down, because there's no way Boom Boom's gonna go in on that. But you lost an opportunity to do, like, 100 damage to the guy. Okay. Not orb walking. He should auto attack him one more time. Doesn't. It's awkward. And he lets him pop up, and he doesn't respond with a pot. Should have died right there. Okay, now they have the level 2, so he has his shadow now. See how he's gonna use it. Okay, there's the shadow. He immediately goes to it. Yep. Understanding what your enemy champion wants to do. I feel like there's kind of like a one-sided thing in the lower ELOs, where people are always thinking about, and this isn't necessarily wrong, it's just only half of the picture. So you have to think about it like this. A Lissandra player is saying, okay, I want to poke them with my long range, I want to thread my Q through the creep waves and harass him with splash damage, and if I get near him, I want to use my AoE frozen ground, just a little burst of damage initially when they're near me. That's what the Lissandra player is thinking. What they're not thinking about is how the Zed player is thinking. So what does Zed want to do? Zed wants to get on top of me, he wants to use his shadow to get close to me, probably wants to burst me down, like shadow to me, immediately 2 shurikens, ignite, and then auto attack me, and I would pretty much die. And see, that's the part that a lot of players miss. They only think about what their champion does and how their champion wants to interact with things, and they don't think about what the enemy champion does. And it's almost far more important that you understand what your enemy wants to do, because then you can stop it by using the things available to you on your champion's kit or in your team's kit. Like, it is so much more important to identify what does the enemy team want to do, what is their perfect team fight look like, what does this lane's matchup look like how do they want to kill me, because then you automatically know what everyone on the other side is going to do, and you can just like predict their movements and outplay them effectively. Boom Boom is gonna die to Flex here. Technically Maroon got more gold because they got the assist as well, but obviously like solo dying in a lane is never good. There's also the experience and the extra gold, and it looks like he's gonna buy wards with the extra first blood gold, which not a terrible buy, although I would have opted for, I don't know if I would have bought them anymore. It's good, it's good. Both junglers look like they did a second rotation. That flash was way too far delayed. Okay, so Boom Boom has just killed Shock. They're pretty much winning this. I don't know why Karma's standing this far back. It's probably because they don't have any eyes on Jarvan. Crap, just give like a speech about this. What do you have? Why does that show me their trinkets? They both have trinket available. What in the world? Okay, so they're standing back this far for, I have no idea, for some reason. Like, this is perfect, like, engagement. Because anytime your enemy steps in front of the tower, you get to, like, poke the shit out of them. Just, like, pound them in the face. So, like, the fact that they're standing this far back tells me that there may be concern for Jarvan. Both of their trinkets are available, so typically how you play this, especially if you're going to be pushing, because then you don't have to worry about warding bushes because you have control of the bushes because your wave is naturally pushed down the lane. You alternate your trinkets, because they only last for 1 minute. So, and the trinket is down for 2 minutes, so you go up here, you ward this, like Jinx will ward right here, and then as soon as it dies, Karma will trinket, and then as soon as Karma's trinket's dead, Jinx will go up and trinket, and that's how you, like, ward early game. You can either do it here, or you can do it here, or if you want to get really crafty, you just do it right there. So the fact that they're both blind, I mean, I wouldn't suspect that the top laner would be ganking me, because you should recognize that he started red due to how delayed the bot lanes were into getting into the lane, so by 3 minutes or 3 minutes and 30 seconds, you know that he's going to be in this side of the jungle, and he should probably have finished both his double buffs. So no reason to be standing that far back. Okay, here goes Jinx to ward, even though we just covered that. I mean, that's technically how you're supposed to ward it, but there's really no need, because Jarvan should be at the top side. They now have eyes on Jarvan, so they should be able to go really aggressive. Okay, here's the other thing. Bot lane is all about playing around cooldowns. Like, that's all it is. If it's really important to also, like, remember the cooldowns of certain abilities. Like, Thresh Flay is 9 seconds. So if you know that Thresh Flay, and it's a flat cooldown, it never changes, it's 9 seconds long. So as soon as Thresh uses his Death Sentence or his Flay, you can think to myself, okay, I got a 10-second window where I can do whatever I want. Corki just used his Phosphorus Bomb and missed, and Nami just used her Sustain and missed. She still has her bubble, yes, but the big burst damage that would follow the bubble, so it's typically bubble into Phosphorus Bomb into auto attacks, that's going to be really scary, are completely down. So this is God's, I always want to call him God's Shamer, it's God's Hammer, and Razor. Like, this is when they should step forward and start harassing. And that's all bot lane is about trades. It's, does my enemy team want to hit a creep? If the answer is yes, and you don't have to hit a creep, hit them. Is my enemy laner's, like, engagement abilities down? Did Leona just miss her Zenith Blade? Did Thresh just miss his Death Sentence? Did Corki just use his Phosphorus Bomb on a wave? If the answer is yes, hit them. Because there's no way that they can out-trade you this point, as long as your cooldowns match up. So that's all trading is. So they should be hitting them right now, but they're like, oh, let's wait, because they just used their abilities. And see, they just know they used their abilities, so they back up. Don't want to get poked by Karma, know that they have nothing to, like, engage. But these guys don't realize that they have the upper hand right now, which they are about to lose. Okay, here we go. Bam, bubbled. Phosphorus Bomb, right there. That's the burst damage. That flash was way too late, especially because all they had to do was auto attack. So I don't know if he was A clicking, but they auto attacked this way when they should have just continued to auto attack that way. They also should have orb walked. That flash was, like, way too late. That flash would not have saved her if they had auto attacked the correct target. Yep. Okay, we got the chase on. Where are our junglers? I'm wondering. Just finishing his buff rotation. 10 to 15. I don't know why Boom Boom's trying to go, like, really aggressive right now. If I was Lissandra, I would be punishing him more with auto attacks. I think Shock is, like, too focused on last hitting. Ooh, the isolation damage. You did, son. You did. Got the red buff. And he's got all those wards, too. That's the irony of it. Boom Boom has, like, 20 wards in his inventory because he got first blood. He still got caught by Kha'Zix. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Oh, wow. He could have totally got that. He had flash and heal, too. If it was one more auto attack, he could have flashed forward to get the last auto attack, and then he would have gotten his passive and walked out. Jinx could have killed Dami right there. Puss. Okay. Most junglers have really yet to make an impact on the map. Yeah, Flux got a gank in mid, but it was pretty much like spoon-fed too. All he had to do was show up. But otherwise, we're 5 minutes into the game, and neither jungler has really made an appearance. Okay, here we go. He should just run in. There's no reason to stand there because the wave is not getting more in his favor. He's just, like, wasting so much time standing here. He should just run in, just do damage. Like, you're not gonna kill him. He's too far back in his lane, and the wave, like, wasn't pushing there. So that was a lot of wasted jungle time. From here, he should probably invade. Okay, nope, not gonna invade. It's gonna, like, look, this is, like, 10, 15 seconds of just not acquiring any EXP, anything. Didn't even gank mid. That was just wasted. There's no reason. It messed up his entire jungle flow because there's no reason to be top lane because there's no gank available. He needs to be either ganking mid or he needs to be ganking bottom. Or just jungling. Okay, there we go. Zed dashes in. He immediately, the AoE, he's got more minions because he just used AoE to clear all the creeps. They turn on him, taking extra damage. Why do people take random creep damage? I mean, unless you're trying to set up for like a fast push, which he's not because he didn't freeze the wave before the tower. There we go. Now he's punishing him. You've got two different fights going on, which we see this a lot. Okay, so you got the 80 carries fighting up here, and then you got, like, the supports corner, like, fighting down here. Fight together. I see this all the time in, like, solo queue or in... Like, wasn't there just a big write-up about this in Callista's, coming out? That they didn't want the bot lane to be about two separate fights. They wanted it to be, like, a cohesive 2v2. Like, this is essentially what just happened. Call out your targets. Communicate with each other. Say, hey, my, like, Karma's like, hey guys, my Q's up, let's go and hit them on Nami, on Nami, on Nami, and God's Hand would be like, oh, okay, yeah, Q's up, I'll add on to that damage. Like, what is this? Like, you lose the synergy. Like, there's no point in picking things that work together or don't work together if you're gonna have just, like, two individual, like, 1v1s. So that was weird. Especially against a sustain lane. God's Hammer isn't enforcing this at all. Okay, here we go. Jarvan, looking for the gank sap. It's a really... Oh, he found the pink ward. Oh. He finds the pink ward and Sorrow decides to go hard. Oh my god, JJ Monster could have just murdered him if he just walked instead of this way, this way. Okay, two things went awful right there. A, Sorrow has clear vision that it's a 2v1, and he's like, time to burn my escape and go melee for him on this Victor here. I don't know if that's how he actually sounds. In fact, I know that's not how he sounds, but for some reason Jace is, like, southern with a shitty accent. I have no idea. He goes hard on this guy, like, hard on the paint. And Jarvan saves his life by instead just cutting up this direction and getting, like, right behind him, like, wastes his time coming around, like, the biggest ass rock I've ever seen. Like, look at this curve. Like, that wasted so much of his walking time. There's, like, a random chimney here. I never understood that. I think it's, like, a column, but pretty sure that presents are getting dropped down that for Christmas. So, that's what happened right there. Okay. Looks like they're making their way down for rotation. They should be diving the bot lane. Okay, he should have just ulted right there, and Kha'Zix should have jumped over the wall, and they would have killed him instantly. Oh god, okay, that's fine. That's cool. Okay, should have ulted him right now. Kha'Zix should have leapt over the wall. They would have immediately killed Zed. One of the cool things about Kha'Zix with Lissandra, because I love Lissandra, I just think she's kind of a niche pick. Is that Kha'Zix is the only jungler that can effectively 100 to 0 someone in Lissandra's ult duration. Like, Lee Sin has great burst damage early, but typically he's gonna fall off, and so by, like, late game, but, like, Kha'Zix will always be able to do it, which is, like, really fabulous for this 2v2. So if they didn't kill him there, they should immediately be, like, diving bot lane. So I make my teams pick Lissandra or Orianna because I tell them, if the Lissandra ult or the Orianna ult are up, it's kind of like a crutch into mid-game. It forces them to make decisions. So they can say, like, shockwave's up in 10 seconds, and instead of, like, where normally they would just continue to hold onto the shockwave or maybe, like, use it 1v1 in the mid lane or something, it forces them to say, okay, where am I going to use my shockwave where it's most effective? And it forces them to make plays and to kind of set up pre-planning. It's like a little baby step. So they need to be using this. So they should have either used it right there, or maybe they could use it right here. I don't know. Why did he level max Q? Is this a thing? What did he evolve? Oh, he's only level 5. Okay. I just saw his single stream. See, they just, like, backed out of a situation. They invaded, they took red, which that's fine. But they could have done more with it. They could have immediately killed Zed, or at least damaged him. Even if they hadn't killed him, they would have done serious damage to him, forcing a, like a 4v5 for dragon. Or they should have gone bottom and dove it, and then forced the dragon. Like, that was their opportunity to look for, like, a big dragon engagement with the Lissandra ult. And Boom Boom, there's no reason for Boom Boom to be over here. He doesn't have any wards, so he has no idea how many people are over here. He doesn't know exactly where Kha'Zix is. He can kind of guess, like, hey, I know that Kha'Zix is probably passing off blue buff to Lissandra. Lissandra's gonna be in this area. But what the fuck you doing, man? You're half health. That's a full health Lissandra. Like, even if you ult her, like, oh, I got ult, I'm gonna burn it. She's gonna fucking Zanya's herself. Like, this is, you're missing so much EXP. You should be in the mid lane just shoving the shit out of this. Just, like, taking up all this free gold. Like, why does League of Legends put you into a lane? They don't put you into a lane because that's the rules of the game. It's not like a board game where you pull out, like, your paper rules. It's like, oh, every player between the minutes of, 1 to 10 or possibly 15 must go into a lane. No, you're in the lane because you're fighting over the gold, because this is the most efficient way to get gold in the game, because you're not, like, healthy enough or strong enough to start mowing down these towers or doing the dragons. That's why you're in the lane. You want the EXP and the gold, so you're eventually strong enough so you can go for these larger objectives. So there's no point in being in this goddamn river half health without, like, a shadow. I don't know. I think you, like, shadow to yourself right there. He's, like, leaping off of the wall. So yeah, there's that. Don't know what that is. Don't know what he's doing. Don't know what he's looking for. Okay. He's going to back off now, and I guess we're not handing this off to Lissandra. Okay, there she goes. Oh, she was looking for Zed. Oh, he shadowed the ball. That was awkward. I'm glad the direct camera moved away from that, because it was awkward to watch. Okay, he can only harass from afar right now, which is doing a good job. Mushu'd that Q. I don't know why he has a pink ward underneath his tower. The tower grants true sight, so that's awkward. There's a lot of mechanical errors that go around. In all frank honesty, a lot of kills are missed, because a lot of skill shots are missed. And unfortunately, that's just, like, how it is. Yeah, see, if that Karma had hit, another auto attack, Jinx Rocket, someone's dead right there. Like, the Nami is not coming back, but unfortunately, like, the lane isn't always going to work how, like, an analyst would say it would work, just because they're expecting that the champion's kit is used perfectly every single time. And a lot of these champions are, you know, sometimes really hard to use. Like, Jace is a relatively difficult champion to use correctly. Victor is a very difficult champion to use correctly. His gravitational field is very clunky in kind of 1v1 situations, like he is in the top lane, which is why we just kind of saw him miss that, but I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I'm not commenting on. Don't take my silence as in everything's fine right here, but a lot of this stuff is just 1v1 individual base mechanics. They should dive right here and just use the Lissandra ult. He knows this is coming. Yeah. Like, that was pretty telegraphed, and then JJ flashes and misses his knockup. But again, it's just like little mechanical things like that. But as far as like the decision making there that I can comment on, that was so obvious that it was going to happen. Lissandra being that far forward, and then again understanding what does the enemy champion want to do and how can they lock me down here. He was thinking like, oh, it's okay. I'm Zed. I have flash. I have shadow. I can get away. But he's not thinking Lissandra also has flash. Lissandra also has claw. Lissandra also has an ultimate that can lock me down for sure. I don't know why he even tried to like fake it. He's like, I'm gonna run this way and then I'll put the claw this way. Which one will you chase, boys? He like completely forgot that he was just in the cataclysm. That was kind of cute. At that point, Jarvan knows where you're going. You don't even have to fake it. Okay. I'm gonna pause this really quick, and I am going to go and make myself some pizza. Holy shit, someone ate like all the pizza. Yeah. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. I'm very hungry. Okay, so let's think about like kind of what the next big objective, because we're getting pretty late in the game and the dragon hasn't been contested at all. We already talked about where Maroon kind of missed their opportunity to take advantage of the dragon by catching Boom Boom. Like, the fact of the matter is they haven't turned any of their catches into any objective bonuses, which losing the first dragon isn't the worst as long as you trade it for a tower because they're relatively similar in their gold cost, but losing the second dragon is pretty much like really bad. Again, it's just the way that the dragon scales, it's worth more than an inner tower. So, but they don't trade anything right there, and gold walks through with that dragon for free. Just gank. Though, like, waiting for him to do something, like, just gank. Now they need to do something with it. He should invade. He immediately runs back to his own jungle. He should run into the enemy jungle. Why? Because if the enemy jungler's there, A, his bot lane's pushed up, so his bot lane's gonna get there at the same time that the enemy bot lane will. It's a numbers advantage though. He has a mid laner, and the other team does not. He can take whatever he wants. Good job. Everyone paying attention. Obviously, they're all communicating bot lane. You need to watch. You need to watch. You need to watch. I'm invading the raid. So that was clear cut. That said, blue knew he was in there. They have their whole other side warded. So they know that Kha'Zix is somewhere in the jungle. Lack of communication from blue right there. Okay. Dragon's down, mid tower's down. Next easiest and most important objectives are going to be your side towers. So your top tower, your bot tower. Should focus on bot because bot's already winning. He has teleport, he should teleport back. Talking about Jace. Yeah, like Victor can dive him really easy. He wants the hammer for him turnaround. Oh, good job spacing from Bride. However, Jace shouldn't have knocked him away initially. Like, that was the big issue, is he knocked him pretty much out of tower range the first go around. They should have backed. He had teleport available, so wouldn't have lost any CS. Like, there was no reason to stay there. He literally would have lost nothing. Okay, so Lissandra ultimate is up and available, and he's pushing top lane. Like, they need to be using that bot lane. Lissandra is so good at diving towers. And bot lane is always pushed. Top lane is the only lane that's not winning. So I have no idea, like, don't play to your weak side. If you're destroying bot lane, like, just make that worse. Like, put the pedal to the metal and continue to push that weak point and create a crack. Don't go and cripple yourself or handicap yourself by going to the one lane that's losing for you on the map. Because if this was a 2v2, like, I'm mad that it worked out for them, but, like, I'm glad that they saw the aggression to go. But if it was a 2v2, your top laners are already weaker, so, like, you pretty much even out your power as opposed to playing to both strong points. Well, there was no reason to jump into that. No reason to be that far forward. Will they finally go bot lane? And this bot lane, like, wins all the time, too. Like, that's what I don't understand. Like, Razor and God's Hammer, like, are usually ahead, but their team never ganks bot lane. Jace should use Shockwave closer to his blast. And what I mean by that is, like, not his blast, like his champion. If you watch Mac Noon play Jace, or even Pawn, they shock blast, or they acceleration gate right in front of the character model, so that when the shock blast goes through it, it travels at a much faster distance, much sooner, so it makes it harder to dodge. You'll see a lot of people that when they're being chased by someone who has a skill shot, they'll actually ward behind them, not to make sure that they're still chasing them, but it's so they can see the projectile as soon as possible, because it makes it easier to dodge. So if your projectile is going that much faster, that much sooner, much harder to dodge. Ah, the classic boom boom overextended in river. Okay, so they have a numbers advantage. They should be able to get this for free. The only real option is that JJ gets a smite. Okay, good work from Victor. Good AoE control. Lissandra ult. I'm gonna murder them right now. Yeah. So they did a good job initially with spacing, but then they just got way too close. Yeah. No reason to be there. After your jungler's dead, like, you're not gonna get it. And the risk versus reward just doesn't make sense. And the team never goes bot! So they just won, like, a big team fight as well as taking a dragon. They should go back and buy. Because they're technically, they've been strong, but they're so much stronger now. But it doesn't show because they haven't completed any of those important items. I hate it when teams do that. Like, it's always, when a team says we stayed too long, it's typically because they didn't buy and spend their gold when they, like, were actually winning. Like, if they get, momentum going where they take, like, 2 towers and they're pushing on the inhibitor tower and then, like, the home guard team comes up and just, like, wrecks them and it's, oh, we stayed too long. Well, okay, why did you stay too long? Like, what about that situation changed? It was that the enemy team died, had time to buy better items, and then come back and beat us, and we were sitting on all this gold from killing them repeatedly, but didn't upgrade any of our items. Ah, the classic ward over the wall dick move. Like, Lissandra's... How much gold are you sitting on? I'm doing this with my left hand. He's sitting on a needlessly large rod. Like, go back and buy. No reason to be there. People always get caught out placing deep wards. Your wards have to be used for them to be like an efficient buy. You don't just place deep wards because that's kind of like the next thing that you should do. You place deep wards as your team intermittently uses them. So, like, by Karma going over there and trying to place deep wards on her own, her team's not using that because they're pushed to their tower. Which means that the enemy team has more control of the map, which, like, increases her chance of, like, why are you there? Increases her chance of getting caught. Like, oh, what a bro. Took that right in the chin. Okay, Lissandra ult was used on one person. Team's too strong anyway. Boom. But don't place wards unless you're using them. Like, ward the flanks as you travel, or unless you know exactly where all of the enemy team is. Like, just a general rule of thumb. Okay, from here, were they gonna make the call? Using the vision bottom, I like this. They've already got it set up to take a bottom tower. Although I don't think they're gonna get anything for it. Because they didn't all go together. Yeah. There's no reason for them to be top right here. Like, they got lucky that Victor just, like, randomly is here for some reason. I don't know. They should have gone bottom with their team. Like, The thing about Maroon is it's almost like two different types of entities, and they're never working together. I have no idea why this team doesn't work with its bot lane, or why this team doesn't work with, like, its mid lane. It's really bizarre. Everyone should have either backed right there, spent their gold, and secured vision deep around, like, the Baron pit and tried to force a pick right there, or they should have all rotated bottom and taken, like, a tower. Okay, what's the next objective on the map? It's gonna be your outer towers. Here we go. Lissandra ultimate on 3 people. Okay, what you guys gonna do with this? Gonna go Baron, or gonna take towers? What's the goal here? We're gonna go into red buff, which isn't there. Oh, we're gonna go dragon. It's not a terrible prize. I would have immediately run Baron. But I like to live on the edge. He should have hid that. Hold on, I'll back it up in a second. You can tell a good Lissandra from a great Lissandra by how they hide their E. So the thing about Lissandra that kind of a lot of people talk down to is the slow speed at which her E or her claw moves. As opposed to, you know, someone like Zed who's just going to immediately W in or things like that. So what what Lissandras will usually do is they'll hide their E-cast through the environment. So, like, if a fight's going out over here and Lissandra's standing right here, like, if you see the E pretty much coming in straight down the line, everyone's like, oh, shit, and they'll, like, flash away because they know what's happened. But Lissandras will stand here, and they'll E through the environment, so you'll see the claw appear right here. And this isn't enough of a window. It's the same concept of Jace acceleration gate, like, at the tip of his character model, as opposed to halfway through his blast. Like, it just goes that much faster, and it's that much more surprising. You'll see that Shockwave is going to Lissandra this way, and it's pretty much like, I'm coming. As opposed to, like, if he had just moved to the pit, and he went, like, this way instead, or even this way, like, you just hide it a little bit longer. Okay, here he goes. I'm coming! There's no reason for the enemy team to check that. Just take the tower, boys. There's nothing there for them. There they go. They should have just taken this initially. And forced the enemy team to respond as opposed to like looking for a pick like randomly in Tribrush. Like, why is the enemy team going to be there? He's dead. And why is he dead? Because they didn't communicate what they were doing. Like, they could have had an inhib, they could have challenged Baron, they could have done a lot of things in that time. There's no reason for him to be there. Next easiest objective on the map is that top inner tower, as well as securing vision on Baron. Which thankfully, you get to do both at once. So they should be setting deep wards and enemy blue jungle to help secure that tower. If they make a pick, and an important pick, they can immediately translate to Baron. Why are you guys mid? They should have fought over that. They're stronger. They want to fight right now. Like, what is this? They should have ran into this jungle, warded everything up. This is the tower that they want. Send Jade's top to prep this wave. Be sitting in this jungle. Like, they'll go and they'll hide in this bush, like, looking for a pick when Dragon, red buff, and the wave is, like, out here, thinking that the enemy team's gonna walk over here. But they're now given a perfect opportunity where the enemy team will fight them without any towers around, and they don't take it. Why is Flex down there? Focus. What is the next easiest objective on the map? First tier towers. Dragon. Dragon's down. The mid tower. Why the mid tower? It gives you the most passive vision and map control in the game. Inner towers. Which inner tower is the most important? Again, the mid one. Why? It gives you most control of the map in the game. After the mid one, it's going to be the bot tower and the top tower before you move down into the inhibitor tower. So, which inner tower is still left? The top one. What is also really in play at 29 minutes on the top part of the map? Baron. Where should we move our vision? Over there. You have Jace who's figured it out, but the enemy team, or excuse me, the allied team is pretty much like nowhere to be found. Like, they're fighting mid lane over nothing. There's nothing to be fighting for over here. They're gonna get it anyway. That's like what's upsetting. There was no reason for gold to fight right there. Like, they fought literally 2 feet off of a tower. So at this point, that's not Maroon doing something right, it's gold doing something wrong. Which you'd say like, hey, wouldn't that be the case for every League of Legends game? And no. There are games where people just like, both teams play it right, but one team just plays it better. This was not one of those games, and that's what's frustrating.